Very good morning and welcome to the mid-morning pack that is on Wednesday, the Leadership Wednesday. Welcome to our program today, and of course today we deal with leadership matters, and I'm here up to 12 noon, and I hope you are doing fine. Welcome to the program. My name is Paul Kagi on behalf of my colleague Mangicho Mola. Today we are looking at the accountability of the current and previous government, and today I'm asking you a one deliberate question, that do you support the continued blaming of previous government on economic challenge? Do you support the continued blaming of the previous government on economic challenge? You can text me via my SMS number 23814 or WhatsApp SMS number 0721-105-105. Today, I have two guests. One is already here, Mr. Irongo Gishohi, who is an economic expert, who is going to help us to put more light on this topic. Later on, we'll be joined by Masese Kemonche, who is a governance expert, also to help us to put more light on this matter. And therefore, welcome to the program. But as usual, in the first session, we are going to do some analysis of the current affairs with Mr. Irongo Gishohi. Just reminding you again of our topic of the day, accountability of the current and previous government. And the question is, do you support the continued blaming of previous government on economic challenge? Do you support the continued blaming of previous government on economic challenge? My SMS number as usual 23814 and WhatsApp SMS number 0721-105-105. Once again, Paul Kagi is my name. Welcome about. And as usual, Gishohi, yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Long time.
Long time.
How is it going?
The going is okay. Cannot complain.
Last time when you were here, we were in a dry season.
Yes.
We were experiencing a lot of heat was high. There was dry. There was nothing in our farms. But today, you see what is happening?
Yeah, there's
rain all over.
And rainfall has come with a lot of, it has come with its brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's as if this rain is coming in two categories. If you go to some regions in the country, it is more severe than the other areas. For example, in the northern corridor, Isiolo, Mandera,
and the coast.
In the coast region, they are experiencing a massive floods.
Yeah.
Yesterday, they were saying that coastal region is submerged.
Yeah.
If you could see some aerial
television,
if you could see some aerial photographs and cameras, you could tell that coastal region is having hard time.
Yeah, it's actually submerged in the waters, in the flash floods.
Yes.
And also, unlikely, the flash floods have claimed a lot of people.
Yes.
Over 71 people have died so far.
75, yeah. And yesterday, the deputy president was in coastal region, and he was not a happy man. Because he says governors are sleeping on their job, and he was complaining that governors are not supporting the national government in terms of helping the issue of maybe controlling the flood in that region.
Yes.
You remember?
Yeah.
Yes.
What the deputy president was insinuating was that the governors were given usually the 15% that comes from the national government, and now they are supposed to first of all take care of the floods, because the El Nino is now something that was not planned for. It is something that just came. So the governors, instead of waiting and maybe trying to do development with the cash that came from the exchequer, they are supposed to first of all, because this is a disaster. This is something that is displacing people. The El Nino is displacing people. It is killing people. There are a lot of people who are homeless.
Yes. They
don't have food. They don't have medical attention. So what the deputy president said yesterday was that the governors should first of all take the emergency. You know, when you have needs, you take care of the needs that come first. For example, the issue of displaced people, people sleeping hungry, people with sicknesses because of malaria and all other sicknesses. The governors should first of all take care of the people. Development will come later once the El Nino have subsided or the El Nino has gone away.
But according to the record, the governor yesterday said that he had given governors 10 billion shillings,
yeah,
to be able to cater for this emergency.
Yeah.
And after some few hours, the Siaya Governor Orengo and Mombasa Governor Nasir,
yes,
were very categorical, saying that that is far from truth,
yes,
and saying that the deputy president is economical with the truth. Yeah. The government, the national government, has not given them money for El Nino emergencies. So we don't know who is speaking the truth, who is lying. When you see two CEOs, yeah, the deputy CEO of the national government and the CEOs of the Siaya and Mombasa County, yeah, when they are exchanging words, yeah, I gave you money, no, you didn't give me money. Yeah. It's very serious.
I think it's unfortunate coming from our leaders. That is an unfortunate situation. It's an unfortunate situation, actually, I can say that. Yeah. Because now we can't know who is telling the truth. Yeah.
Yes. But far from that, it's good to agree on one thing, that the issue of the El Nino is here, yeah, and the government, national government, the county government, they need to work hand in hand, even the Red Cross, yeah, to be able to help in mitigating the problem and also to saving lives.
Yeah, I think this is not a time for blame game, that I gave you money, I did not give you money. I think the national government should collaborate with the county governments to make sure that those people that have been displaced by the floods are taken care of. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. There was one in the news that is in our newspaper today, which is a bit interesting, in education, yes, which I think is in the Nation, but not the other paper. Okay. It's talking about the employers are saying, here are the skills that you need to get a job. You know, we're having a challenge with employment in our country. Yeah. And the employers are giving their own views on the courses that you can be able to do, and they are going to help you to be able to get job easily. Yes. And there are quite a number. A new report reveals the courses that will land you that dream job faster. Yes. One of them, I could be able to read quickly, is science and mathematics, yes, transportation, distribution and logistics, engineering, public safety, corrections and security, legal, media, communication, and public relations is also another area. Yeah. Information technology, I think information technology, IT, is very key in providing employment for young people. Yes. Yeah, IT, isn't it?
And actually many of them have gotten into that issue of IT. They are those guys that are just with a smartphone, you are able to work and get a few coins here.
Yes. And then we have social service and community development. Hospitality and tourism is another area. You know, hospitality has become a very vibrant area, yes, in our economy today. Health science, government and public administration, art and recreational service. Yeah, yes. Art and recreation is also a very key area, whereby those people who are talented in arts and recreation.
Yeah, like those people who do acting.
Yes.
Those people who are doing
even acting, drawing.
Yeah, drawing. Even the young people,
yes,
like comedians. Comedians nowadays are making a lot of money.
Yes, comedians are making a lot of money. I saw one comedian who was saying that I have been doing comedy for the last 14 years, okay, and I can be able to build a house of 100 million. Yes. And people are saying, no, this guy doesn't have such kind of money. And he's saying, I have been in comedy, and I'm doing well in comedy. It's another area, which is giving our people a lot of employment. Yes.
Like we have seen, for example, if we are allowed to give examples, we have seen Akina Churchill, yes, seen Akina Fred Omondi, they are making millions. Those guys walk with, drive very expensive vehicles. So comedy is also one of the things. And you know, a long time ago when we were growing up, we were only told that you must become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer to make it in life. Long time ago, if you are not passing mathematics, English, you are not passing sciences, your parent was very angry with you. But nowadays, yes, with that kind of comedy, you are good to go.
And this report can be able to, I think it's coming at the right time. Yes. When we are trying to build on the CBC, yes, which is a more of skill-based program.
I think academics, yeah.
Yes, it's going to help us to be able to identify the talent of a child early enough. Yeah. And if you could see all these courses, they can help you as a parent to be able to identify the strength of your child, yeah, and be able to mold him or her towards this. Then we have finance and business management, education and training, architecture, building and construction. This is another area, yeah, which is very promising.
Building and construction.
Yes.
Like now with the issue of government's affordable housing, we have seen the government is planning to build 200,000 houses annually.
Yes.
A year. So in 5 years, the government is planning to build 1 million houses. 1 million houses is a very big job, because it is going to employ a lot of people. The Juakari people will supply windows, doors. Hardware merchants are going to supply stones, sand, cement, and other things. Yeah. So it's a very lucrative job that is going to create a lot of employment for people.
Yes, again, away from the government program, there are many people who are in the private sector and who are in the building and construction industry.
Yes.
And also there are many young people who are being educated in the architecture.
Yes, drawings, yeah.
And then we have agriculture, food and natural resources.
Yes.
Is another area which is very promising, and we thank God because today young people have started to embrace agriculture.
Yeah, you know, a long time ago agriculture was seen as some...
it was being said the backbone of our economy.
Yes, but our young people used to shun agriculture because they don't want to get dirty. They want to be employed in offices.
They just want white-collar jobs.
Yeah. However, you can, like right now, if the government's commitment of improving agriculture and making sure that products like tea, horticulture, products like coffee, milk, if there is, the government is going to improve on the earnings of the agriculture people. I'm sure agriculture will be one of the most lucrative business venture. Yeah.
Yes, and I think where we are heading to, those who are going to indulge themselves in agriculture are going to be more. They're going to get more economically powerful than any other person.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because everybody is selling his land to become plots. And therefore, those who shall be concentrating on agriculture, they will be highly advantaged. Okay. There was one report that was released regarding to the police reforms. I think I have seen it there. The police reforms, and it has really elicited a lot of heat in the corridors of the Kenya Police Service.
Yes.
And it's being told today they are planning to hold a crisis meeting to be able to look at that report, which has really put the Kenya Police Service in a bad light.
Okay.
And there's issues of poor housing, corruption in police. Even there's one issue they have been discussing about the transfer of the police officers from one station to the other. All those logistics have been mentioned in this Maraga team, which was presented to the president. But now the Kenya Police fraternity is here to be able to maybe to look at the report and see how best they can be able to react on that report.
Yes.
There are also some recommendations to be able to sack some of the people in the force because of corruption and gross misconduct.
Yes.
And this report is coming at the right time because the police have been highly mentioned as the leading department in terms of corruption in our country for many years.
For many years.
So and we believe this report is going to bring a lot of change in the police force. Yes,
Mr. Paul. The report is supposed to, and actually I can say that it is long overdue. It's supposed to have done. It was supposed to have been done a long time ago.
Yes.
However, it's still okay because maybe it's the right time. One of the issues that made me happy was the issue of the increment of their salaries at 40%. I think that is a welcome move. Because there are some policemen who are usually paid very little salaries, and that's why maybe they are demotivated.
Yes.
And also maybe that is one of the things that make them to be engaged in corruption. So I think the issue of the reforms is okay, and it's good. It's a step on the right direction.
Yeah. Okay, and if you are watching us, this is the Leadership Wednesday on MBCI TV. Today we are talking about the accountability of the current and previous government. Accountability of the current and previous government is what we are talking today. The question is, do you support the continued blaming of previous government on economic challenge? Do you support the continued blaming of previous government on economic challenge? You can text me via 23814 or WhatsApp number 0721105105. Maybe you can give your own comment. You can ask your question, because we have two experts in the studio. Do you support the continued blaming of previous government on economic challenge? And today we are having Mr. Irongo Gishohi, who is an economic expert in the studio. And also we will be joined later by Masesa Kemunche, who is a government expert already in the studio. And we shall be able to put more light on this matter. As we continue with analysis this morning, I think we have one more issue here regarding to the National Dialogue Committee.
Yes.
They have been holding talks for the last, I think, 60 days.
Almost 60 days.
Almost 60 days. Yeah, and their time is almost elapsing.
Yes.
And the last meeting, there was no agreement on the issues they have been discussing for all this time, because of the Azimio had to bring on the table more positions as the talks are continuing.
Yeah, I think they are shifting goalposts. Although in the beginning they had said that the issue of the living condition, it's called the economic living.
Yes.
The issue of the economic living, actually, they said must be addressed. Yeah, but I think that is not a one-day process. I think that is a process, because
the cost of living?
The cost of living is not a one-day event. It's something that you have to do for quite some time. Although now I can concur with them that the issue of raising fuel is not the best. Yeah, because once we saw Churchill saying that fuel will go up to 300, petrol will go up to 300, which was a very unfortunate.
And it was about to be there. I think it's because of the recent revelations. They have made them not to be able to raise the fuel prices. But
you see, if the settlements came from the cabinet secretary for energy, I'm sure that is not a threat. It's actually a promise.
It's a promise. It's a promise. There was somewhere I saw yesterday that the fuel prices is still going to go up.
Yeah, of course.
Whether we like it or not.
Yeah. So I think the issue of cost of living is supposed to be discussed in that report, in that dialogue committee. Yeah.
Today they are meeting the Treasury CS, Njuguna and Ndungu, to be able to agree on the tax issues. One of the new demands by the Azimio is to scrap the housing tax, which is under the Finance Act 2023, and also halving, to make it into half, the value-added tax on petroleum products from the current 16% to 80%. You see, before the Finance Bill 2023, it was 80%, then it was shot to 16%.
Yeah, after Ruto took the government, it was increased now to 16%.
So Azimio is saying they should go back to 80%, but the Kenya Kwanza brigades here are saying this one is not possible. Okay, so today is their deadline. And they are going to meet the CS to be able to agree on certain matters. But I think the team from the both sides, they are agreeing that they could rescue the talks in the last minute. I don't know whether you could be able to predict what could happen if the talks collapse.
Of course, once the talks collapse, we have seen Martha Karua saying that they are going to go back to the streets. I don't know if that is still possible. However, what I'm thinking is that I think there will be no agreement, because I don't think the president will agree to reduce the taxing of fuel from 16% to 8%.
It's not possible.
I think that is not possible. They will not agree, because there is some taxes they are targeting on that issue. Yeah.
So the issue is
also the cost of living. I don't think they are going to agree on the issue of cost of living. So I'm thinking there will be a possibility of the Azimio brigade going back to the streets. When and how, I am not sure.
But everybody is agreeing, either from opposition and from the government side, we need to relook at the issue of the cost of living. Yeah,
the cost of living is a thorn in the flesh, if you ask me. And especially the issue of increasing fuel. You know, fuel is one of the cost of production that is very influential in pricing of commodities in this country.
Yes.
Immediately you increase the cost of fuel, then the cost of bread goes high, the cost of unga goes high, the transport cost goes high. So you find that fuel is one of the factors of production that the government is supposed to be looking at very keenly. So that you don't, of course, overburden the already burdened Kenyans.
Yes.
Because Kenyans are crying. Many Kenyans can't afford food on the table.
Very true.
So I think even in the boxing ring, one of the requirements is that when your opponent is down, you don't continue kicking him when he's already down. So Kenyans are already down. And what the government is doing is continue punching them. So,
are you seeing any hope?
yeah, there is hope because there is God also. You know, that sometimes we have to to accept that there is also God in heaven. So even when maybe situations go so bad, maybe God will have a way. I'm thinking. Plus also, I'm also thinking maybe the president will do something since he wants to be re-elected.
Yes.
Because I'm seeing a scenario whereby this president might be a one-term president.
But he's saying that he, for now, is not interested in talking about 2017. 2027.
No, you know, sometimes things are easier said than done. Yeah, but deep inside himself, he knows he wants to be re-elected.
On the same, the MPs are beginning today to probe into the 17 billion oil saga, which is involving a lady called Njeri, and also the CS for energy, Chirichir. And the two houses have opened a probe into the 17 billion fuel businesswoman Njeri with a team of expect to quiz her today. You know, Jerry, nobody understands about her, but there's something that is not really clear. But I think through this committee, I hope they are going to do a good job to be able to help us to understand what's her role in the issue of fuel in our country, and who is she, and maybe to understand who is the owner of the fuel that was shipped here in the country the last 1 week. Maybe
my sentiment of this issue is that when we look at a billionaire, we can easily tell one. So I don't think that Njeri owns that fuel, unless he's just a proxy. She's just a proxy. She's being used by some powerful forces in the government or maybe in the business industry. Yeah. Like we saw the issue of Kabura.
Yes, I remember.
The NYS issue.
Yes.
I was not involved there. It's only that maybe she was representing some interests.
So I think
in this issue, she was only being used. You know, there are some figures that cannot come there. But she can be told, you take this 17 billion, go buy fuel, we sell, we are going to give you 10%. It can happen like that. Because when you see a billionaire, you recognize one.
But by the way,
not a billionaire.
By the way, you could look at her. She looks very confident. She's not fearful. You know, sometimes you can read
it's called the body language.
By the way she is operating.
But
she is not.
Once you have a powerful person, you know that nobody, like Kabura was very confident.
Very confident.
Because you know there is no way you'll be nailed there. And all the resources are there. So even if maybe you are to be jailed, you'll be jailed and you'll still be released there. So I think it can make her to be confident. But as for me, I don't think that she can own such kind of a consignment.
And maybe what are you reading in terms of the issue of fuel in our country? Where are we going wrong? Because if you go to Uganda, if you go to Tanzania, the cost of fuel is still
going down. Even in the world market, the cost of fuel is going down. So I think our government has no goodwill. That's what I can say. Because like 1 liter of petrol right now is retailing at 217. You'll find that Kenya shillings, 83 shillings goes to paying tax. So the government is trying to milk Kenyans dry by overtaxing that product. So if maybe they would have put their tax at maybe 30 shillings. You see now maybe fuel will be retailing at maybe 150 or 170. So it might be a little bit fairer. So I think the government is just punishing his own citizens, especially the poor people. Like now, I've just seen that the cost of kerosene, which is used by almost 60% of the economy of the people of this country, and 60% of 50 million is around 30 million people. 30 million people use kerosene for their fuel. So, and maybe lighting the kerosene lamp. Once the fuel, the kerosene is 203 shillings. You see, that is very high, and many people cannot afford. So I think the government does not have goodwill, and they are trying to punish the citizens of this country by overtaxing.
And the last issue we can be able to look at before we take a short break The president is in Europe.
Yeah, he went to Germany and now France. Yeah.
Looking for jobs for our young people.
Yes, I think that's a positive thing, although most people might not be able to travel. You saw the issue of like right now, people are applying for passports. Passports are staying up to 3 months, even 6 months. So even if maybe he gets those jobs,
yes,
majority of people don't have passports.
Don't have passports.
The other thing, majority of Kenyans might not be able to pay for the tickets, because maybe it will cost like 100,000. If you add plus the visa, it might go up to 150,000.
Yes.
So many people might not afford. Yeah. So I think even if maybe he'll get the jobs, maybe it will only be for a few people who are maybe connected or who are maybe rich enough to afford. Yeah.
And I think the government should, if the jobs are available,
yes,
the work of the government is to support these people on everything. In terms of paying for the ticket, paying for the visa, passport, visa, everything, to be able to quicken that process. But
do you think the government has that goodwill? If they are trying to introduce 1,000 shillings to acquire an identity card, an identity card is for everybody, from the child in Turkana to the child in Mombasa. Once you introduce Kenya shillings 1,000, in order for these people who are coming from 4 to get an identity card,
yes,
then you see the government somehow is not serious on what it's doing here.
There is one question many people are asking regarding to when we're taking our young people to overseas for jobs,
yes,
that there's one negative impact that is coming out of this.
Brain drain.
Yes.
Yes.
How about that?
I think that one is double-edged. It's like a double-edged sword. And on one part, there is that brain drain, whereby we are transporting all our labor. For example, many of our doctors are flying away to go to India. They are going to Europe, where they get good salaries. Now, when you export all our doctors and our engineers, what are we left with? Don't we need doctors in this economy? We need doctors, of course. So that issue of brain drain, as it is called by economists, is not good. However, on the other hand, once our young people go to work in the overseas countries, they still improve our economy by sending there is that money that is usually sent from overseas, from diaspora, every month. Yes. And actually they usually send around 40 billion and every month. Every month they send around 40 billion. So maybe in a year they are sending close to 360 billion through the diaspora money that comes. And that money is the one that maybe is used to build. You see sometimes floods coming up. There are people abroad in diaspora. So on the other hand, those people are sending money, and of course that money is usually also taxed. So I think it is a win-win situation. Brain drain is bad for the economy, and then also the money coming for investments from diaspora is still okay.
Yeah, another challenge.
The government gets some money.
Maybe another challenge is when they go overseas, yes, there's an issue of extra taxation in whatever they are bringing back home. Sometimes it's not money. Yes. Maybe you have your sister who is here at home. Yeah. You have a brother overseas. Yeah. You need a phone. Yeah. They send a phone to you here at home.
Yes.
Getting that phone from the airport,
you have to pay tax.
Sometimes you feel, why did I go and pick this phone from the airport? It's too expensive, even more than buying locally.
Yeah, that's why I said this issue of overtaxation by the government is not a good thing, and it should be refused by everybody. Anybody of goodwill, we should all refuse, because it is punitive, it is draconian, and it is immoral. If I may use those words. It's both the draconian, immoral, and punitive. And no government is supposed to do such a thing to its citizens here.
But if the government can get an avenue on how to resolve the issue of lack of employment in our country through taking our people out of the country, I think it's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
Instead of keeping them here, there's no employment, the economy is not growing. But if they can go out there and support their life and their families, I think, because if one person goes to Europe, he can be able to support a minimum of 5 people.
Yeah.
It's a way of growing even the...
Yeah, I think it's positive. I can say it's positive. Me, I've seen several of my friends and relatives go abroad, and I have seen they are doing great. Yeah, they are sending money back to their country. They are building flats. Yeah, they are buying ranches. So I think it's a positive way. Okay. As long as the government reduces the issue of overburdening and overtaxing the people from diaspora.
Well said. It's time for our break. When you're coming back, we have Matasa Kemunche with government expert. Today we're talking about accountability of the current and previous government. Do you support the continued blaming of previous government on economic challenge? 23814, my SMS number, 0721 105 105, WhatsApp number. We are taking a short break. We'll be right back.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Are you ready to unlock the door to a future filled with endless possibilities? At Goshen Medical and Technical College School of Engineering, we are committed to shaping the engineers of tomorrow. With our expert faculty and cutting-edge facilities, your journey to excellence begins right here. We offer medical engineering, electrical and electronics, plumbing, and many more. Our programs are recognized by NEC and NITA. A minimum grade of C- or higher is required for diploma courses, D plain or higher for certificate courses, and D and below for artisan courses. Enroll now and let the School of Engineering be your launchpad to success. Visit our campus today or call us at 0750 264 044 or 0723 047 468. For more information, check out our website at www.goshencollege.ac.ke.
Welcome to Goshen Medical and Technical College, Speaker. Yay!
But the pinnacle of education is High Peak Schools, a reputable institution for anyone looking to unlock their child's full potential. From early childhood education to our junior school, our experienced educators impact students with relevant knowledge and skills for them to soar high. From well-equipped classes to modern laboratories, peaceful dormitories, computer room, and a music room, students partake in co-curricular activities like swimming, skating, and many more. Our nutritious diets are sourced from our school farms, and not forgetting purified water that is safe for consumption. We have a fleet of buses that are accessible to our students for comfortable transportation to and from school. To enroll your child, contact us through 0728 040 883. High Peak Schools, quest for excellence.
Ladies, get ready for the Deborah Arise Ladies Conference 2023. Join us for 4 incredible days filled with the Lord's anointing. Our esteemed guest ministers include Prophet John Saidimu, Reverend Phyllis Muthe, Reverend Phyllis Kiambudi, and Reverend Ruth Wamoyo. This life-changing conference will be hosted by Pastor Julia Karanja at the Kingdom Seekers Fellowship, Thika Road. The conference will take place from November 30th to December 3rd, 2023, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. with a rally scheduled for Sunday, 3rd December at 2 p.m. The theme for this anointed gathering is, therefore anoint yourself, put on your best garment, and he will tell you what you should do. Ruth 3 verse 3 to 4. Get ready to experience the Lord's goodness at the Deborah Arise Ladies Conference 2023 at Kingdom Seekers Fellowship, Thika Road, Karibuni.
Somebody's coming out of this hour. It is
Transformation.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
All right, welcome back to the Mid-Morning Pack, the Leadership Wednesday. Today we are talking about accountability of the current and previous government, and we have just done some analysis of the current issues, and today we are asking you one question, that do you support the continued blaming of previous government on economic challenge? Do you support the continued blaming of the previous government on economic challenge? And today we are having Irongo Gishohi, who is an economic analyst, and Masese Kemunche, who is a government expert, who are going to help us to be able to dig deeper on this matter. If you have a question to our experts today, our SMS number 23814, 23814, WhatsApp number 0721105105. We are live on our FB and our YouTube, MBCI TV, Facebook, MBCI TV official on our YouTube. Mr. Masese, how are you?
I'm good. Fine. Thank you, Paul.
Long time. You're doing fine?
I'm good, despite economic challenges. You know. Yeah, but generally I'm okay. Yeah.
Maybe in 2 minutes, we have analyzed on various issues. You can just pick one and put your weight on it.
Well, I think I'll pick two. One is the policy reforms.
Yes.
I think timely. Some of the proposals by the Magara-led team are quite apt. It's about time we improved the terms and conditions for the police service. I think it's still shameful to continue seeing our officers living in tin houses across the country. The idea of insurance and increasing their salary is a timely idea. The second issue I would pick relates to the 17 billion fuel mystery. I think Rongo here said that Annie Njeri does not look like a billionaire, and I was wondering, how does a billionaire look like? I mean, so perhaps it has become a chorus that actually is someone's puppet. She is someone's puppet. And I think the narrative by former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and the Busia Senator, who we all trust. I think for the years we come to trust what these two gentlemen say, particularly when it comes to exposure of scandals. There's a lot being said, and Oki has called it budgeted corruption. And it's very clear that from the analysis, it's all over on X and other social media platforms, that the money can be traced to a supplementary budget that was not made open. So it could be, as Irongo says, that actually Annie Njeri was just a conduit, a purveyor, someone undertaking the responsibility on behalf of people we are paying salaries, but people who are keen to exhaust our covers. And when someone says that he's not talking about 2017, he's preparing by 2017. 2027, sorry. And these scandals is about building a war chest for the political campaigns for 2027. You look at the men and the women that were brought into this cabinet and have been brought into this government. Some of them have been associated with previous scandals. So to say the least, the lies being told by the likes of Chilchir and others must be white lies. This is about a well-orchestrated plan to steal from the Kenyan public. And I think ESCC has been challenged, DCI has been challenged, the allegations by the Right Honourable Prime Minister, the allegations by Honourable Kio Mtata need to be investigated. And I hope Parliament is not going to treat us to another drama. If they are keen on investigating this, the political divisions must not be seen. Although our Parliament, as it were, exemplifies what came to be called tyrant of numbers. So I'm not very optimistic that Parliament is going to get us to the bottom of this scandal. And that's why I'm calling upon Kenyans, civil society, media, to keep this story alive and to demand that the truth is brought to the fore. Yeah.
Maybe finally, for the sake of clarification, being a government expert, there is revelation that the Treasury CS has power to be able to get some money from the consolidated fund, to use it maybe in terms of emergency, then come back to the parliament to be given authority to use the money first and then come back to parliament without parliament authority. And therefore, they are saying that they had authority to be able to use this money to buy oil.
Why can't they state so? Why no? You realize nobody is saying, they are saying this oil belongs to a company called Galana. So if the CS Treasury were to say this oil actually was bought by government, by now that should have been brought to the open.
Yeah. At least there should have been some transparency.
That should have been the first thing to say, that look, we bought this oil ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, and Anne is a pretender. Yeah, but they are saying this oil does not belong to one, it belongs to another person. Yeah? So if it were to be what you are saying, then we expect government to come out clean on it. So it stinks to the high heavens. This is corruption. This is theft.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I'm just waiting to see how our parliament is going to treat this one.
Yeah, I think today.
But the truth is, Kenyans must have the nerve to continue pushing, continue demanding for accountability.
Yes.
You realize all this thing about taxes and raising money to resuscitate the economy. If the economy were to be resuscitated, then you wouldn't be touching the elements of the economy that affect, as I heard Rongo say, Mwananchi the most, that affect Mwananchi the most. You cannot be, as they say, you cannot be of milking a cow and you are not feeding it. You know, you are literally killing it. So the Kenya Kwanza administration appears to be mopping money from every corner to put it into a pot that is so close to their mouths. Yeah, that's what I see. This whole thing about World Bank, IMF, you know, we've gone back to the days when our decisions are being dictated by those Bretton Woods institutions. And you may want to ask, by the way, who put this government into power? Was it Kenyans? Or is this a government that is in power to pursue interests of others, but not interests of Kenyans? Why, if I may ask, would we not be worried that there are Kenyans who are going to bed angry? Today there is a El Nino. At some point, none other than the president said God had sent a El Nino elsewhere. People in the north, people in coast are being marooned by flood waters. There's a humanitarian crisis we are staring at. Then we hear people making jokes about counties abdicating their responsibility. Everyone knows the kind of money counties get. They cannot even sustain any response to a crisis of this magnitude. We were told billions were set aside. Rather than say counties should have done this, why can't we have the national government breaking it down for us? How much money? The billions they kept telling us that they had set aside in preparation for El Nino, where is it? Why can't it be, why can't we see someone coming out and say, in Kware County, this is how much we have given to the county government, there is the evidence, this is how much we are spending, you know.
What was given 10 and
where is the evidence? You know, where government is run by records. Government is a system. So the deputy president says something, the governor Mombasa, joined by his colleague from Siaya, responded promptly. If I was seated in the office of the deputy president by now, I would be saying, guys, Here is the evidence that we gave you this money to respond. Yeah, and in any case, how is the money appropriated? Yeah, you don't just wake up in the morning and say, I'm sending Kagi money to go and spend. There must be some process of requisitioning.
Yes.
It needs to be very clear what that money is going to do in very specific terms. So, be it as it may, from the very beginning,
yes,
right from the day this government was being set up, immediately after the 2022 elections, Kenyans should have been very worried. You know, you cannot have a government that is full of individuals who have been associated with scandal after scandal, and then you expect that this is a government that is going to deliver on your aspirations. Yeah,
very correct. And that is also the basis of our talk today, Masese, on accountability. And I want to shift to Irongo.
Yes.
We are talking about the accountability of the current and previous government.
Yes.
And maybe to start with, maybe for those who don't understand, when you talk about the government accountability, being an economic analyst, what are you talking about? What is government accountability?
Government's accountability means that the amount of money that is collected from the public coffers in form of taxes. Because like we all know is that the government does not sell tomatoes or bread or vehicles. Yeah. The government derives its money from the public coffers. Immediately you buy a bread, or maybe 60 shillings, 16% of the 60 shillings goes to paying the government tax. Immediately you buy fuel, like maybe you buy a liter of petrol, 85 shillings goes to paying taxes for the government. And that, or maybe immediately you get a salary of like 100,000 shillings at the end of the month. Kenya shillings 30,000 is deducted from your salary, that is 30%. That one goes to paying the government taxes. So accountability means the amount of money that the government collects from in taxation. Is it used well? What can the government update? Can the government say that we collected several billions, we have done this and this and this? I think that is what is called accountability. And unluckily, the government is usually not able to account for all the taxes that are usually collected.
Yeah. Before we get there, let us first of all understand what is this accountability that we are talking about. Masesa, what is your interpretation of government accountability before we go to other details?
Thank you. Actually, it's very important that we appreciate the broad meaning of accountability. The financial angle that Irongo brings out is just one of them. But accountability from a governance point of view is basically answerability. You know, if you read Article 10, the national values and principles of governance, accountability is one of them. Government is answerable to the people. Now, the Kenya Kwanza administration rode into power on a number of pledges, commitments, promises they made to Kenyans. Are they honoring those pledges? Are they implementing those promises? If they are not, then they are not accountable. Kenya has a constitution that provides elaborate governance framework. The things that government is obligated to do. Is the government doing those things? If it's not, then that government is not accountable. It's not answerable to the people. You know, the national values include openness. How open is this government? We just discussed about 17 billion, you know. There's a lot that is being done without us knowing. Good example is, today we are faced with an odious debt. We owe so much money. But the nature of agreements that our government has entered with the lenders on our behalf is opaque. We don't know. Some of these loans, we don't know how long, the terms, the duration. Kenyans do not know. So in the end, we are told we are spending so much money to pay loans. while we are not even clear about the terms and the conditions for those loans. So lack of transparency is a critical issue, is a big problem. And when anything is done in secrecy, in darkness, it's what builds fertile ground for corruption. That's why we have corruption.
Yes.
Now, we have laws and policies. To what extent is this government applies those laws in making decisions and implementing those decisions? Good example is public participation, for example. The other day, the CS Interior withdrew a Gazette notice and now pretended to be creating opportunity for the Kenyan public to engage. Why wasn't Professor Kindiki Kithure, a lawyer, a professor, a legal professor, wasn't he aware that the Constitution places an obligation on him to involve citizens in decisions of such magnitude? He did, but because power has sunk into him, he now imagines that he can circumvent the law and make unilateral decisions. So that points to you at a government that is deficient of accountability. So whereas the financial aspect is important, we must look at accountability holistically. The literal meaning that we like applying those of us in governance is answerability. Do you make decisions on the basis of laid down procedures? Do you follow the laid down procedures? Do you apply the law? Do you apply the Constitution? And everything. And our Constitution is comprehensive and pretty clear to understand. Anyone can understand this Constitution. You don't have to be a professor in the law like Kindiki. But impunity is what is eating into us, and I think we are losing the nerve as the Kenyan public to protest against the state excesses.
Yeah, before you go there, Masese, I think we can also ask ourselves, because we want to understand better about the accountability. Government is an institution. If the government is not accountable, for example, we have many regimes there before. We have Kenyatta regime, the Mzee Kenyatta regime, we have Moi regime, we have Kibaki regime, we have Uhuru regime, and now Ruto's regime. When a regime is not accountable to its people, who should put this regime into task to be able to make them accountable?
I think the common mwananchi is supposed to step in those shoes, because like we all know, our Constitution gives sovereignty to the people.
Correct.
Yeah, sovereignty belongs to the people of this country. And so they are the ones who are supposed to put the government into task when they see the government is not going in the right direction. And I'm happy, Mr. Paul Kagi, because of when fuel was, the CS for energy, Mr. Churchill said that fuel is supposed to go up to 300. People from all the angles in the social media, all over, in televisions and radios, started complaining until, hey, the government said, hey, I think this problem is going to be a problem. That's why they stopped increasing the fuel to past 217. And the other issue is that when the CS Kindiki said that he has revised the issuance of identity card, that people will be paying 1,000 shillings. When you lose an identity card, you pay 2,000. The people complained a lot until he withdrew a Gazette notice. So that one tells you that people have power. And when people speak in one voice, of course the government must listen.
Later on, I would be wanting to learn from you if this sovereign power work. I don't know. Maybe what percent do this sovereign power work? Masese?
Paul Kagi, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. The Constitution, and this is the basics of democracy. It's about the people. The people retain the sovereign, the ultimate powers, and they delegate their powers to individuals who form government on their behalf.
Okay.
And just as Paul says, where systems work is the people to whom sovereign powers have been delegated that should be at the forefront of holding government to account. It's so easy to turn any country into anarchy. It's so easy. In fact, even this country, if you look at how we've evolved as a country, there's certain epochs we do not want to go back to. We pride as being among the most democratic nations in this part of the world. But increasingly, we are losing it. The true meaning of sovereign power is not being appreciated by many of us. So we imagine, because we have a member of parliament who gives you some peanuts in the form of bursary through CDF, you are not supposed to question him, or her for that matter. So if things were to work the way they were designed to work, Parliament should be the one holding the executive to account. But now, things are not working in that manner, and that's why I agree with Irongo that it's about time the sovereign citizen gave meaning to sovereignty. Because that is allowed by our constitution. I earlier on mentioned tyrant of numbers.
Yes.
What happened immediately Kenya Power came into power?
Kenya Kwanza.
Kenya Kwanza. Did I say Kenya?
Oh, Kenya Power.
Kenya Power came into power. Kenya Kwanza came into You know why I mentioned Kenya Power. It's yet another problem. It's yet another fragate through which we lose funds. They raided parliament. They raided the opposition. Yeah? Literally, they put members of parliament who were independent candidates and some of those who they could buy from the Azimio coalition. That gave them a clear majority. And then when the bill that created all these taxes we complain about went to parliament, several Kenyans were opposed to those provisions. Yeah, we wrote memoranda. All Kenyans. Yeah, and Kenyans in various formations. We protested, but did they listen to us? So the people that we gave power to represent us, to protect our interests, now are protecting the interests of status and of the executive. Now, when we are faced with such a situation, what should we do? Basically, claim back our sovereign powers. Yeah? And unfortunately, this government has made it appear as though they are the only ones who can address our problems. So every problem that exists, they throw money at it. And to ensure that we do not have the ability to address our own problems, they overtax us. So that whatever little we get, they take it away. Okay. So that we remain beggars ad infinitum. And the meaning of that is, we are kept poor, grappling to feed ourselves so that we can be bought cheap, so that government becomes unnecessary evil. You get?
Yeah.
I think one of the things the media must help Kenyans to appreciate is the nexus between the economy and the politics. Government, our government, and many African governments, they are not keen to empower the citizen because they know if the citizen is empowered, it's going to be difficult for people who are greedy and are in power to manipulate the citizen.
Okay, hold on there. And then we want to invite an advocate who gave his insight on what you are talking about. And therefore, this juncture, I want us to listen to him and what he had to say.
Hello.
Yes.
So as an advocate,
yes.
What is your take about the current regime,
Yes.
blaming the previous regime about the issues that you're facing currently in Kenya?
May I state this, that this is not necessarily an advocate's position. I'm one a Kenyan before being an advocate. And I would say this, no one expects that their government should fail. No one prays that our government fails. At least a responsible citizen like I am wouldn't wish that the government under which we are now fails. But it's a bit disconcerting, I would say. It's a bit unfortunate that a year later, when Kenyans really want to move on with their lives, Kenyans want to put their focus on that which would put food on their table, when Kenyans are really, crying all over about the cost of living, when our concern is about the price of fuel now, all those things. There's someone who has the responsibility, because that is why they were elected. They have that responsibility to formulate policy, to legislate, that's for our legislature and all that, to come up with ways of, helping common mwananchi have their problems alleviated. That person would instead resolve to, blame games and excuses every other day. It's actually disheartening, it's disconcerting. I'm not a politician, so to speak, so that anyone would go out there and say, haya yalikuwa maoni ya wanasiasa. I would speak as a responsible citizen. The government can do better. We do not want excuses. At least let me say, for me, I do not want to hear one more excuse. I want to see action. I want to see action. I want to see action. At least from my end, mambo ni matatu. Action, action, and action. It's the same thing we've said about corruption in this country. We want to see action. Okay? We do not want to hear, excuses here and there. When you're told we are losing, say, 17 billion shillings, maybe the country has lost 17 billion shillings, and someone would come and say, but during the handshake we were losing this amount. Which is better? There is no better loss in that case. All we want is action. I mean, are you telling people, for example, that because the other time you were losing 2 billion daily, it's okay for us to lose 17 billion now? It was not right then, it's not right now. So can someone stop giving us excuses and let us know how our lives will become better? I'm glad you are here in the city. You can see, you can actually walk into the shops and see what's happening. People are unable to purchase anything because prices have gone up. You know the reason why we have prices going up. I mean, how do you explain to common mwananchi down there? By the way, I've heard the government say the prices of unga, for example, have gone down because probably you think we have had a harvest recently. I think I saw some bag of unga going for some 2 kg. Thing go for around 165. That should have been Ajab or something. 165 shillings. I'm right from there. I mean, do we need to hear more excuses for that? No. Now, pray tell, we have El Nino here. You can see floods everywhere. Would we blame these ones on the previous regime? It's the president who actually came out the other day and said they have scaled down the alert to, mvua ya chini kidogo. Would you blame it on the previous regime that we have El Nino now? Can we be serious for once? If your government, if the government that people elected is not serving the purpose they are elected, I think the most honorable thing in a democracy that is functional, when you are unable to do anything, you say, hey, guys, I think what you elected me to do, imenishinda. It's honorable. It's honorable to say I'm unable to do this. It's honorable to say I need help. Why would a government do blame games when they can simply say, you guys, if there is anyone out there who has better ideas, come, share with us, or we are totally unable to do these things, we're going home. You know, if we have to go back in time, during the electioneering period, the regime that is in place now campaigned on an all-knowing platform, okay? It would be shocking to anyone, any right-thinking human being, to be there, to hear that now, you know, once they are in office, come out and say, "Oh, we didn't expect this kind of you know, the magnitude of wrongdoings that the previous regime." For one thing, your president now was your deputy president then. On several occasions, he was on TV saying he's in control. He actually said that if anything goes wrong, I think then he was being interviewed by his now spokesperson, Hussein. He said, "Hussein, if anything goes wrong with this government, you'll ask me and Uhuru Kenyatta." It's now, you know, funny that it is Uhuru Kenyatta that is being blamed, and your president is not coming out to say, "By the way, I was in charge." So who was in charge? We also had people say severally that your president was the brain behind the successes of the other regime. I do not know who was the brain behind the failures of the other regime. But if he was in charge, he should then take responsibility going forward. Why should he go back to blame the other regime? I mean, it's a question of logic. Some of the things you hear, they would make Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe, you know, turn in his grave, because this is not the Pan-Africanism I think he would imagine. It's not the Pan-Africanism that Gaddafi imagined. It's not the Pan-Africanism that Kwame Nkrumah and the rest imagined. It's not the Pan-Africanism that Mandela imagined. And I would want to agree with Malema. We can't see the guy who was campaigning. Can he just come out? It is not him. I'm speaking as an ordinary citizen, not as a politician. Can the William Ruto of the campaigns come out? Can he put his act together? Enough of the blame games. We want to see action, action, and action. Thank you so much.
All right, on MBCI TV Leadership Wednesday, talk to us 23814, our SMS number 0721-105-105. Those were the sentiments of an advocate. I don't want to go back there, but maybe if you can pick one or two issues, it's okay. But there's one thing I'm asking myself when I was listening to him. It's like you guys, you don't seem to agree that the previous regimes do mess up things and maybe forward it to the next regime. A little bit, we could check the Kenyatta government. When Moi came, I think he's the only president who came and declared, "I'm going to fuata nyayo za Kenyatta." To him, it was to continue maybe with what legacy of Kenyatta. But from there, when Kibaki came, he came purposely after 24 years of Moi regime to be able to clear mess that was done by Moi's government. And of course, even if you look at it now, there could be one or two issues again. After Uhuru took power from Kibaki, there are some things he did which were not a little bit pleasing. And there were some messes done by Kenyatta, which now Ruto's government needs to fix. Don't you agree, Rongo, that the Uhuru regime, to be frank, he did some messes?
Of course he did some messes. There was some misrule, and there was some issues of there was some instances of not following the constitution. For example, the issue of Nairobi Metropolitan State. That was unconstitutional.
But I wanted to answer in line with the mess he did, which is affecting us today. You can also look at what Moi did and affected our economy in the Kenyatta's regime. But let's start with Kenyatta.
Okay, yeah, of course, there are some issues. There are some instances whereby we are still having problems in the economy because of the Kenyatta regime. For example, the issue of borrowing. Yeah, right now we are in a hole already. Because when the Kenyatta government was leaving office, they left 9.9 trillion in loans. And maybe if we can check well economically, we cannot see where the 9.9 trillion really went. Yeah. So I think one issue that I can concur with you is that overborrowing was not healthy for this nation. Yeah.
Masese, what do you think Kenyatta mess is affecting us today?
I don't think it was his mess or it was a constitutional mess. The moment to quote him, he realized that there's a problem with a road, those dams, and he associated it with his deputy. Save for the fact that the Constitution doesn't allow it, should have fired him. But in a sense, he fired him because he chose to work with, as they call him, his handshake brother. But you know what, Kagi, by the way, I associate myself 100% with what the gentleman, the advocate, said. Ruto is the one who is in power today. If there was a mistake that was committed by his predecessor, it's his duty to demonstrate that he can do better. Is he doing that? No. Is he borrowing, Rongo?
Of course he's borrowing.
How much money do you think he has borrowed for the last 1 year?
I'm not so sure, but I know it's quite...
You can Google and tell us how much money has been borrowed in the last financial year. He told us he wouldn't borrow, yet he's speaking better and better about World Bank, IMF, and other manipulators of states. You know, so I am sick and tired. This guy, this regime cannot feed us on excuses. If they could have demonstrated that they are keen to slay the dragon of corruption, then I would say he's cleaning the mess. But he employed every corrupt person we knew into his government. Yeah, that's number one. Number two, well, we probably need to analyze developments from ever since we became independent.
Yeah.
Mau Mau was about land and freedom. When Kenyatta the first became president, he shortchanged the people who fought for our independence. He amassed wealth, he appropriated huge chunks of land to himself, and the true Mau Mau generals became paupers and country. But what did he have? What was the political currency for him? Land. He had the land to allocate people so that he could buy their political sycophants. Moi came. By that time, some land had taken new characteristics, state-owned and others. So Moi continued with further Nyayo, and the land that belonged to state corporations, he started dishing them out. But more importantly, the state corporations themselves became a new political currency. That's how he ended up getting people into chairpersons of committees, giving them plum jobs in parastatos, and parastatos became ways of stealing from the public. Money is given to parastatos, it's stolen from parastatos. When Kibaki became president, if there was anyone who would have complained about the previous administrations, was Kibaki. But we had the list of complaints from him. He sat down and embarked on business. He repealed the economy. And so when Ruto took over, If you recall, Kagi, and this is on record, in 2002, Kenyans were the most optimistic people. We are among the happiest people. We continued being happy until 2007. There was the crisis. And then the crisis gave us Uhuru and Ruto. The post-election violence of 2007 is what gave us Uhuru and Ruto. If it had not happened, if ICC had not happened, we couldn't have gotten Uhuru and Ruto as president and deputy president. Now, if you recall, by the time Kibaki left office, what was the exchange rate? If you recall, by that time, free primary education actually was very stable. Free day secondary education was very stable. Today, as we speak, financing education is something that we are not so certain about moving forward. Because how much are people paying in high school? If you realize, it's as though we are saying, actually, we need to alleviate secondary capitation to secondary schools. So, in other words, what the president, who was deputy president, is telling us is total lies, is a way of covering up his own shortcomings. Truth be said, we elected the wrong people. But just like the lawyer, he is my president. And I cannot wish that his administration fails. Because if I do, he's actually wishing that my country fails. I wouldn't want my country to join the league of countries that are referred to as banana republics. And that's why I feel it's my personal duty to call him out, to tell him, stop the lies, stop the excuses. You are a PhD, you have a smart mind. You can work around the challenges. The only thing you need to stop doing is telling us lies. The only thing you need to stop doing is the greed for amassing wealth. Our president wants to be the richest person perhaps in the world.
Even if you look at there, you know, I was checking and I could not believe it that the internet is providing us with the 1.2 trillion shillings that's the current borrowing from the domestic and external.
Yeah, it's roughly there.
It could be more. That perhaps does not include the latest negotiation with IMF, and the World Bank. And I will tell you, I am servicing a loan at Kenya Commercial Bank. The other day they sent me a letter, hard copy, for the first time, telling me that they've increased for me, the interest rate. You know, around this time, a few years ago, Kenya Commercial Bank would have actually sent an agent to me, telling me, can we top up your loan? I see you've progressed well. Yeah, we can top up. But commercial loans, banks in Kenya are not reaching out to individual borrowers like us because government is borrowing from them. And it's a more lucrative business to lend to government than to lend to people like me whose risk of default is higher.
So the commercial banks are benefiting more.
And the meaning of that is that the ordinary business people, and the lawyer said it, the ordinary business people cannot access capital. Businesses are closing down. Go to small centers. Shops that used to service households do not have goods. They do not have, their shelves are empty. And those are the main economic, they were the ones supporting those households. Kagi, what we must say, Uhuru Kenyatta has had his own shortcomings as president. You know, he didn't get it right. But that is no excuse for Rigiji and his pose to say, now, every time, should we be blaming the British for everything that is happening in this country today?
No.
Should you be blaming your father because he came before you for any issue you are faced with? Your father dealt with the challenges of his time. You are now the one alive and in a position to deal with the challenges of your time. please smell the coffee upon a president. Stop telling us the lies. You keep reminding us that corruption is a problem. Yet, the people you gave jobs have integrity deficiency syndrome, as I like calling it. Yeah? You cannot be a president who wakes up in the morning, makes commitments, and then the following day you make commitments that antagonize the ones you made the other day.
Yes, Kemucha, that's very okay. But I'm trying now to look for a way, as we look, see whether we have some vox pop from the public on this matter. Irongo.
Yes.
Yes, we are saying that it's not good to keep on looking to your predecessor and riding on that to be able to show that you are able to perform.
Yes.
But what can we do as a country to be able to shield ourselves from maybe a government that comes and does something which affects us tomorrow? Maybe this regime comes, does something which is unpopular, which affects us tomorrow. What can we do to be able to protect ourselves from such kind of a situation?
I think there is nothing that we can do, because like my friend here said that we are actually not my friend, the advocate said that the William Ruto that we are seeing right now is not the William Ruto that we elected. Because I remember very well, and I was in the campaign trail also, because I was also vying for a political seat. And I used to attend the meetings of Kenya Kwanza. The Kenya Kwanza government came with many promises of mending this economy that had been misruled by the fourth president and the fourth government. However, we have seen a sudden change of heart, actually 360 degrees. So we don't understand how he had promised to uplift the mama bogas and the bodabodas of this country and the poor people, the poor masses. And you know, the poor people of this country account for 70% of the economy. I mean, 70% of the population, or 50 million. So actually, 35 million people are poor people in this country, according to statistics of the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. So immediately, and Kenyans were very optimistic, especially the poor people, the masses. Watu wa boda boda, mama mboga, na watu wote wa chini, watu wa biashara ndogo ndogo. So immediately the government came, he started introducing new taxes, punitive taxes, immoral taxes. If I may call
so in short, you're saying that
he did the opposite.
We may not be able to get a way out of such kind of a thing, even after this regime is
even
gone.
After this regime,
next regime that will come.
Yeah, because even the Azimio Brigade, if maybe I'm thinking maybe come 2027, maybe Kalonzo Musyoka might be successful, because I have seen.
Before we continue, I'm told we have some vox pop there. We hear what public are saying regarding to this, because our time is far much gone.
Habari yako?
Nzuri.
Unaitwa nani?
Mimi naitwa Tom Nandi.
Wewe una support the current regime ku blame the previous regime for what is actually happening to Kenyans, ama zile mashida zenye Kenyans wanapitia sahi?
I cannot lay blame game on the past regime, because in any government there is a transition, and if you take over power, you have your plan towards whatever you want to do. You should not lay blame game that I got this government when the status was this way. So whatever I'm doing, I should not lay blame game back. I should strategize what I can do to the people. So the current government should not lay blame game to the past regime. They should just, because they sell policies to the people, they see a way how they can actualize their policies.
Mimi upande yangu ninaona hii serikali ya sahi siwezi nikamuunga mkono, na hata kama wanalaumiwa ama wakilaumu ile serikali ambayo ilikuwa ni bure. Kwa sababu gani? Wakati huo, wakati ile ya serikali ile nyingine ambayo imepita, hata mimi kama mwana bodaboda, mafuta tulikuwa tunanunua. Wakati mafuta ilileta shida, mafuta ilipotea, tulikuwa tukinunua mafuta 134 shillings per liter. Lakini sasa hizi mafuta imeenda mpaka shilingi 220 kwa lita moja. Kwa hivyo hii serikali ya sahi siwezi nikamuunga mkono na kutudanganya wametenga na kuna kitu wametenga. Hata sasa ukiangalia mambo ya Mombasa kule, Maji inabeba watu, inasomba watu, ikipeleka watu. Hawawezi wakatoa hata ndege waende wakaokoe watu kule. Kwa hivyo hii serikali mimi siwezi nikaunga mkono, na mimi naungana wale wenye wanapinga hii serikali, kwa sababu hii serikali sio serikali mzuri.
Kwanza kabisa wacha nipongeze Ruto kwa uongozi wake. Ametujali sisi, kama mimi nafanya kama community health promoter. Ametuconsider. Uhuru hakutuconsider. Hata bei ya unga ilikuwa juu na hata saa hii bado iko juu. Uhuru wakati alikuwa karibu atoke kwa kiti ndio alirudisha unga chini. Baadaye lakini mbeleni hakurudisha. So it is the same. So kila mtu na mambo yake. Hata tujui mwenye anakuja kama atarudi ama ataongeza zaidi. So kila mtu anakuja na mambo yake.
Siwezi laumu juu najua walikuwa kwa serikali wote. So hakuna kitu ya kulaumiana hapo, ni watu wakae chini waongee. Juu wote walikuwa kwa hiyo serikali. Hakuna haja Uhuru alaumu Ruto mambo anafanya, na walikuwa kwa serikali wote wawili, unaona. So hii mambo tunapitia ni hao wote wawili walifanya.
Hakuna haja waraumu serikali yenye ilipita. Saa hii hao ndio wako kwa uongozi. Wanafaa kuchenga nchi na wanafaa kuangalia mbele jinsi tutaweza endelea. Serikali ya zamani ilimaliza kazi yao. Na saa hii macho yote tunaangalia hawa. Ndio watuongoze, watuelekeze, watupee haki zetu, ndio na sisi pia tuwachari maishani baadaye.
Nataka kusema kitu kimoja tu. Hawana nafasi ya kulaumu kwa sababu wamepewa majukumu. Hawawezi kulaumu wowote kwa sababu amepelekwa gari ya iendeshe na yeye ndio hako kwa steering. Sasa akileta mtu mwingine ambaye hako kwa steering atafanya nini? Akileta serikali ambayo imeiondoka kwa kazi, ametukosea kama sisi wa Kenya.
Sikubaliane hata kidogo.
Kwa nini?
Kwa sababu pia wamepewa muda wafanyie wa Kenya kazi, baada kulaumu wenye walikuwa wanatakikana watuoneshe mfano mzuri, wafanye bidii, watufanyie kazi.
So una feel ni wapi wamefail?
Upande ya uchumi iko chini kidogo.
Saa hizi serikali yenye iko saa hizi ni ya Uhuru, si ya Ruto. Ruto alikuwa kwa serikali. Au watu wote ndio walichukua.
So waache kulaumiana ama?
Waache kulaumiana. Juu hiyo ni serikali moja. Hiyo ni Jubilee yenye iko saa hizi kwa serikali.
Si wasapoti kabisa. Kiukweli ni kwamba wako na pesa, lakini ni venye wanaepa wakisingisia ya kwamba ile serikali nyingine ndio ile inatuma wasote, lakini si wasapoti kabisa.
So unaona ni nini yenye hawafanyi?
Hakuna Kenya wanafanya. In fact watu tunateseka. Sio sisi pekee yetu, kila mtu Kenya mzima anateseka. Saa hizi kukiesa sehemu ati tufanye uchaguzi, definitely serikali itatoka na ikwenda huko kabisa.
I could have a reflection of what happened with the Kibaki government. Kibaki government, when he came into power, there was a perception that there was nothing in the treasury. He introduced pay as you know, tax, 16% value added tax to the food subsidies and other commodities, and he ran the country without laying blame game to Moi. When Uhuru came, he also continued that way. So what we need the government to do to the Kenyan people is to, after tax collection, they should offer services to the people, and that's what new Kenyans want. That, yeah.
Very well, very well, very well. That's what the public is saying regarding to our topic today. And I can check my clock here. Time is just out of our way. Irongo, your summary of what we are discussing.
So I think, Wanakagi, my parting shot is, if I would see the president, if he could give me an audience, I would tell him to stay in the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And control this country to the destination that he wishes the country should go. And is the high time he should leave the blame game about, we found an empty government, we did not find the money. The last regime went away. Now we are in the era of a new regime of Kenya Kwanza. And the earlier the better he takes the steering wheel and lead us to the canon he was promising us to. But as for now, I know that the president who was requesting for votes is not the same president we are seeing. He should come out. The president we voted for should come out and do the necessary. Thank
Correct.
you.
Masese.
Very well. Two quick ones. President Ruto has not changed an inch. This is the Ruto, the person. The other one was just some actor in a play. This is the Ruto, right from way back when he was associated with Youth for Kano, 1992. So he has not changed a bit. He put up an act that would wink us, that would brainwashed us, brainwashed those who voted for him. I don't believe Ruto was elected president.
All right.
That's for another day. Is there something we can do as a country? Yes. It's about time the citizen gave meaning to Article 1 of the Constitution. Contrary to what people think, actually, politicians follow public mood. It's about time we demonstrated, like many of those citizens who commented said, we need to call out Ruto. We need to call out the Kenya Kwanza administration. We need to hold them to account. And Article 35 of the Constitution, Article 37 of the Constitution allows us. Civil disobedience is a constitutional option that we have. Kenya is ripe for another uprising. We are ripe to demand that the right things are done. If we continue doing it like this, we are about to get to the precipice. The thing is, Rongo, there's a lot we can do, and the Constitution allows us to hold this government to account. In so doing, we must be educated. It's time the media focused on politically educating the Kenyan masses. We should be able to link what's going on now and the 2027 elections. My friend, President Ruto will earn 60 million legal earnings by the time he finishes his term in office. And you know, 60 million means what? Kagi, just a minute. Give him 2 million per month. For 1 year, he earns 2 times 12 is how much? 24 million. Don't tax it. 24 million multiplied by 5. How much money is that? 24 million multiplied by 5 years is 120 million. He will earn 120 million by the time he finishes office. Is that the amount of money used to campaign? So what he's doing and encouraging his ministers to do is to steal from you to recover the cost of the campaigns and
Correct,
to prepare
Masese.
for 2027.
Victor, time is just out of us. Thank you for joining us in today's Leadership Wednesday. My name is Paul Kagi. Until Friday for Many Matters program, have a beautiful day ahead.
Thank you.